Welcome to Section 4, Creating Gameplay Elements, Video 1, Setting up our Game Mode. In this video we are going to set our default game mode and editor map, and create our main menu game mode. First we are going to set our default game mode, and what that is each level automatically creates a game mode, and this is the default game mode. When we went into our world settings, and set the game mode override to GM gameplay BP for our gameplay mode, this overrides it specifically for this level that we have opened, and tells the level to create this game mode instead of the default one. Now let's actually set our default game mode to the gameplay game mode so we won't have to override it. Go to Edit, Project Settings, Maps and Modes under the Project category, and our default game mode, we will set it to Gameplay BP. Let's also set our editor startup map to Map Gameplay, as this is the map that we were working in currently, and will automatically open up whenever we open the project if this is not already set. Now let's close our project settings, and in our world settings we can actually set it to None and play the level, and now we won't have to override our game mode since it will automatically be created. Press Shift F1 and go into our world outliner, and as you can see, in the level it has spawned the GM gameplay BP. Stop playing, and now let's create our game mode for our main menu in the C++ game modes folder. Right click, select New C++ class, and it will be game mode base as our base class. Select Next, and let's name it GM main menu. Make sure the path is in the game modes folder, and select Create Class. Now inside of our source file for our main menu class, let's fix the pathing to our header file by adding in gamemodes /. And now in our header, we can add some more code. Here we are declaring a virtual function that we will override. In this case it will be begin play, and then we are declaring a variable for a subclass of user widget so that we can pick up this widget, and to create our main menu we can place it in the protected category so that way it may be accessed within this class hierarchy. Inside of our source file we're adding in the library for blueprint user widget because we are adding the main menu widget to our screen, and this means we will have to use the library for widgets so that way we can call the create widget function. Now let's create our definition for begin play. IntelliSense is not allowing us to automatically create it for some reason, so we have to create it by hand. Now that we've created our definition, let's create our widget. Here we are first calling up the chain for begin play, like we should since it is a virtual function. Then we are checking to see if our main menu widget class is valid, and then we are getting the first player controller within the world, since this is the main menu level that we will be creating later, and we will be using only one player within that level, which is us, because most commonly in main menus there's only one player. Then we are declaring our temporary struct for our input mode to be UI only, and telling that UI mode to not lock the mouse within the viewport, in case if we wanted to click outside of the viewport or the window. Then we are setting the input mode, and then telling it to show our mouse cursor, and save the temporary pointer for that variable that we created, which is our widget, so that way we can add it to our screen. Now let's go into our gameplay header file for GM gameplay. Here we are declaring a function that will respawn the player to one of the player start locations within the level. For some reason IntelliSense is not allowing us to automatically create our functions, so we have to do this by hand also. Inside of our source file, in the respawn player function, we are inputting a controller pointer as our new player, and then checking to see if that pointer is valid. Then we are telling that pointer's controller to get the pawn and then destroy that pawn. Then we are telling the game mode, which is using a function that is already created within the game mode base class, and we are just calling it for restart player, which will create a new pawn and automatically take over that pawn with this controller that we have inputted in. The reason why we have to destroy the pawn first is because if the pawn is already created and controlled by the controller, then it will not work, and it will just return null, or we'll fail to create a new pawn and possess that. Now let's save all and compile, go to build, and rebuild our project. Now that our project has finished rebuilding its code, let's create a blueprint class of GM main menu. Right click on GM main menu, select create blueprint class based on GM main menu, and let's name it GM main menu BP. And let's place it in the blueprints folder. Select save all,